Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gabe Garish, owner of Backwoods Pursuit, and today we're going to do a Sitka Ambient Jacket review. We're going to look at the three styles of Sitka Ambient Jackets that they have made currently as of the making of this video, what the differences are, the weights, those sorts of things, and the performance differences of these style of jackets versus your typical Puffy, why you might choose one over the other, and where each of them excels. Come along as we go through this. Really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button for us and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Tons of gear reviews over on the website as well, backwoodsPursuit.com. Links to all that down in the description, as well as a link to these Sitka Ambient Jackets so you can check them out for yourself. Let's dive into this. All right, so what we have here is the women's ambient jacket, the men's ambient hoodie, and the men's ambient jacket. They all use the 20 denier ripstop nylon, which has been really durable for us so far. We used it all during the archery season here. No rips or tears of any kinds. I wasn't sure how the durability was going to be with this fabric. It is super lightweight, but so far it's done really, really well for us. We'll keep testing it, but so far so good there. The men's jacket comes in this configuration, no hood and a full zip here, so you can take it on and off a lot easier that way, and you've got the 150 grams of insulation. The men's hoodie comes with a hood, only the 100 grams of insulation, so it's not quite as warm, and you've got a half zip here, so that's a little bit different there. And then you don't have the pockets down here by your waist, whereas you do have the pockets on the men's jacket. Similarly, the ladies' jacket has a hood, different than the men's jacket over there. So you've got a hood, 150 grams of insulation, and a full zip there, and of course your pockets down here on the waist. So the ladies doesn't have an option for no hood. The only one that they come with is the hood, whereas the men's doesn't have a hood. So kind of wish, again, the men's had a hood option. The ladies had an option with no hoods, but those may be things that come out down the road. The hoodie here is nice for a mid layer, but it can be used as an outer layer if it's warmer out and that sort of thing. So a lot of options here. In other colors, we've got the subalpine and the pyrite, and there's some other options on the website that you can pick from if you desire to have a different type of a color or a camo pattern. All right, now as far as weights, the men's hoodie here is the lightest option, 100 grams of insulation again with the hood, 13.1 ounces, so right on par with what is on the Sitka website. The men's jacket here comes in at 15.5 ounces, again, no hood, so a little bit heavier, just by 2.5 ounces is all. But you get the extra warmth, which I did find to be significant enough to make a difference. And then the ladies' jacket here is 15.9 ounces, just a little bit heavier. And this does come with a hood. And again, these two are in the size large for men, and this is the ladies' size medium. So overall, extremely lightweight. And given the insulation that you get, they are really top performers here. Now, some of the differences between these and a Puffy here. These are a totally different type of insulation than you're going to see in your Puffy. A Puffy is typically it's synthetic or down insulation, where it's more of a Berber type of a fleece, but it's really, really lightweight. They breathe really, really well, and I found when using this, I intentionally wore this hiking in weather that I would never wear a Puffy or any kind of insulation, just to see how hot I would get while hiking. And I was actually really surprised. I was wearing actually the warmer one here, the ambient jacket, and it was, I'm going to say, probably 45 to 50 degrees, and I was hiking pretty hard. That's not a situation I would typically wear a jacket like this, and I stayed fairly cool. I started to sweat towards the end a little bit, as you can imagine, but it lasted a whole lot longer than I would have in a typical Puffy. So I can say from personal experience, having used the Aerolite and the Kelvin Light down and a bunch of other Puffies out there, that these definitely do breathe better than your typical Puffy. And the reason for that is if we open this up, you'll be able to see on the inside here, and we put this up to light, you can see just how much air ventilation there is. And you might think that, well, that's not going to make them as warm maybe when you're stagnant or when you are hiking or whatnot, but they surprisingly are very, very warm. The air does flow through there very well. The downside to that, though, that we did find with this, had some really windy days out on the mountain, and they are not good in the wind whatsoever. The wind just whips right through you. So if you have a cold wind blowing in, you'll definitely want to put something like that jet stream over the top of this to break that wind, or something else, whatever you have as a windbreak, because these are not going to be good at all at stopping the wind. So very, very warm, very light, and much better for hiking in these than something like a Puffy that you may use, like the Aerolite. But they have their limitations in wind because they just did not perform well in the wind. So there's always pros and cons here with what you give up to get. But definitely these are awesome for the archery season and as a layer into the later seasons. All right, so some of the differences between the Ambient and then the Aerolite here and the Kelvin Light down, to kind of give you a frame of reference for how I would use these. One of the biggest things about the Ambient jackets, all of these, is just how quiet they are. They are dead silent, so they are perfect for the archery application. Whereas your Aerolite here, well, this is an awesome jacket and does really well in wet weather. If this does get wet, it retains its ability to retain warmth really well. It is a little bit noisier. It's not too bad. I've used this during archery season, but it is a little bit on the noisy side for the archery application. And then the Kelvin Light down is significantly noisier than even the Aerolite, so not something I would use for the archery application. So that's one of the huge benefits of the Ambient Collection here. This really, really quiet, so great for the archery application. Now warmth-wise, these jackets here, I would rank based on my usage here, the 100-gram hoodie here, the least warm. As you can imagine, 100 gram versus 150 grams, so it's not going to be quite as warm. The men's or the women's 150 gram is next in the warmth, and they are very, very close to the Aerolite in my experience. Aerolite I would say is a little bit warmer, not a lot, but a little bit warmer, but much better in wind and rain because of the insulation here is going to retain its warmth a little bit better than the Ambient. And then last of all, the Kelvin Light down is significantly warmer than any of these, but it's again very, very noisy, so something I'd use just for the rifle season more so than an archery application. So that's a quick rundown that way as far as how I'd rank them personally after using them. And my wife tested this, the ladies out here over the course of the season as well, so got her feedback on the warmth there. Now one last thing I did want to say about the Ambient insulation here, the PrimaLoft Evolved insulation. I found this to be better for layering over the top of if you're wanting to have an insulation layer. And the reason for that is this, either whether it's the down insulation or something synthetic like this Aerolite, whenever you put a jacket, even like the Jetstream or something like that, that is somewhat loose fitting, you're going to notice that any place where that insulation is compacted at all, you're losing the insulation ability because insulation needs the loft to retain its ability to insulate. So these become less effective if you need to layer over the top of a Puffy, whereas these Ambient, the Evolve insulation here is not so much that way. It doesn't need the loft, doesn't have the loft that those have. So these are going to be a little bit better for layering over the top of, at least in my experience here. So I'm looking forward to continuing to use these into late season because these are going to be a great layering option when you don't want to have a Puffy as your outer layer. So these are just super, super versatile. They can be an outer layer during the early season or a mid layer as you get into later season when you want to put some over the top of them. So really awesome. The Ambient Collection, definitely something to check out. I'll put links to all these down in the description for you. If you have any questions or comments, please drop those. Happy to answer them if we can and point you in the right direction. Thanks for watching here today, and we will see you next time.